Hello. Hi. Uh, I have to give heads up. This presentation is going to be in English. I don't know how the communication process was, but it's in English. Everybody okay with that? Okay. Uh, Before I start, I want to see some show of hands. How many seniors, academic seniors, do we have here? Juniors, sophomore? Okay. This isn't going to be that long then. All right, quick introduction. I'm Avo Sarafian. I'm a senior software engineer at MentorClick. And I'm going to be talking about the journey you're going to have, whether you're a junior throughout your academic year. And shortly after that, what happens after you graduate? I mean, you graduated, so now what? Will I have a job? Am I going to be an entrepreneur? Can I? Or do I get a managerial position? Or do I start from scratch? Well, to begin with, a bit more information about myself, 15 years of experience. Responsibilities, it's actually a one-stop shop, which is a common case for seniority. Do I feel accomplished? Everybody in the tech industry, well, not everybody, but mostly, probably yes. Because I know from all my colleagues, from everybody from my university, they are in the IT industry, R&D, research development. They're doing pretty good. So some of the achievements unlocked along the process is coding, project management, QA testing, server maintenance. These are just a couple of them. And you will probably have much more to do. You got entrepreneurship involved and many more. Oh, and it's okay to hate printers. A bit of overview from the tools that we use, depending on the environment that you work in. So you got the programming languages, tons of copy pasting of code. That's okay, you can admit it. Terminal, always remember to use subversioning if you're a software engineer. And there's this thing my colleagues, they kind of like convinced me to include it. I think that's a brain. You're gonna have to use a lot of that along the way. Under project management, you have a lot of project management software, emails, a jug of coffee. You're gonna need a lot of attention for that. Meeting tools, word processing tools, and somewhere between the QA testing and the project management, there's a thing called, that's therapy. You're probably gonna need it. And under QA testing, you got the rubber ducky. This is called the debug ducky. You're gonna come across this along the way. And a bit of more, checking your code if it's working or not in coffee. And of course, you have the server maintenance. Terminal, you could use whatever terminal you want. So, what have you gotten yourself into now that you graduated? What are you going to face? Well, first and foremost, this is a lifelong learning process. This is technology. Every month you have new technology, everything, new programming languages being introduced. So you're going to have to keep an eye out. Why is this good? It's a good thing, actually. Years ago, I'm going to speak for myself. I used to wonder if I'm going to be a programmer. We've heard that there are a lot of better hackers and computer scientists at the Far East. Well, since it's a lifelong learning process, every day there's something new. So you have a fair competition. It's also new for you as much as it's new for them or any other person on the other side of the planet. Will I be coding for the rest of my life? Well, that's totally up to you. You're not bound to do coding if you graduated as a software engineer. You could be in IT. You can take up, if you show competency, you could become a manager, you can become a team leader, you can become an entrepreneur. It's totally up to you at the end of the day. What do you really possess? You possess, in the tech industry, to be honest, you possess a very powerful weapon in your hands. You could do whatever you want, to be honest, because this is the most trending industry on the planet as we speak. So I'm going to give you some quick do's and don'ts along the way. Don't argue about languages. If you have a favorite programming language, that's very suitable for you. I'm going to talk in details about this later on. And why do I say that? Because people do things differently. Each programming language does the same thing. They are meant for specific purposes, and you have a different purpose as well. So you could adopt that. You could adopt whatever programming language there is. Please don't let anybody come and tell you, look, Java is better than PHP, or PHP is very bad, it's too mainstream. Yeah, so what? If you could do the job, if you get the job done, good for you. Consider the best practices. Refer to your mentor. When you take up a job, chances are you're gonna have a manager telling you what to do. They're gonna give you hell. Yeah, but listen to them. They talk about good practices. There are many bad practices in coding that will get back to you in the end. You will create bugs without knowing, and the manager is going to come and tell you, I told you so. So avoid that. Just listen to them. Listen what they have to say. Think modular. Usually you're up against a time constraint, and time constraints are, you pull overnights. But there's a way in programming, I don't know how many software engineers there are, but don't code linear. Because if you just want to like copy paste code left and right and you just want to make the deadline, know this, it's going to come back to you. It's going to haunt you because a single bug or a tiny change request from the client, you're going to end up going through a linear code that you do not want to go through. Familiarize yourself to code revisioning tools. A minute ago, I was talking about code revisioning tools. You got GitHub, Bitbucket, SVN for all the old schools out there. I don't know how many there are. And these tools help you to create a version of the code that you have submitted. And in case you need to roll back, in case you need to branch out, they give you all the necessary possibilities and capabilities. Don't do something that might come back to you. Well, I already mentioned this. So yeah, don't take risks at the expense of your employers sometimes. Oh, I'm just going to copy paste this code. Who's going to know? Well, be responsible for that. Don't do something that's going to get back to you. And if it does, be responsible about it. And this is forbidden. Works on my machine is super bad. This is banned in every industry. You can't just walk up to a client and say that, hey, yeah, but it's working on my machine. I don't know about you. There are thousands of machines. You need to take care of cross-compatibility these days. All right. So a minute ago, I was talking about the competition between programming languages. And this is a very common discussion. Like I said, who cares? There are no constraints, but definitely you have many options. You don't need to master one language. You could master many languages. But don't create that gap between them. A good example is you have a stack of nails and a plywood, and you need to hammer all those nails. So the competition is between using a rock and a hammer. If you're up against a carpenter, well, you lost. He's not going to miss a shot. But if you're up against a random person using a hammer and you have a rock, you actually have a bigger surface area. You might actually do good. So it really doesn't matter what programming language you take up. It's up to you. You master the language. A programming language is as good as the person wielding it, just like the hammer. What tools or IDEs are applicable to me? Again, same thing. All of these, it's totally related to you. To be honest, there's no shame in admitting, I know a lot of seniors out there, they use simple text editors. IDEs, they make your life easier when coding. They kind of help you check between classes and stuff. You jump back and forth, debugging. People use text editors and they do really good at it. So don't let anybody force anything upon you. But 2 notes: stay away from pirated software, because who knows, somebody could it could be malware patched and they could steal your code. Always keep them updated for similar reasons. So yeah, tools and languages are as efficient as the person wielding it. Yeah, I get it. You still need a job. Well, first things first. You graduated, you open up LinkedIn, like it was mentioned in the previous session. Read the job description. Don't just filter it. Read every single bullet point presented on that job description, because chances are the person posting about that job really isn't that much of a technical person. So there may be conflicting stuff. And there's this joke going on around the internet saying that we need React.js developers with 20 years of experience. React wasn't created, it didn't exist 20 years ago. So read the description properly. If you have questions, ask them. They don't know. They will start, the HR probably might need to run it by a technical person in the company. Do it, it's fine. There's no shame in that. If you can't email them and you got a job interview, ask them during the interview. It's fine. On the contrary, you would show your cognitive skills, your perception, and how daring you are, and the initiatives that you are taking. Will I nail the entrance exam? Well, yeah, now that you passed the interview, they send you the first exam, you got a couple of exams in some agencies. Probably not. You might get a lot of questions wrong. And it's not actually considered pass or nailing it, for metaphorically speaking. Will I get the job? Probably yes. Because recruiters, they really don't care if you get every single question properly. You might put a semicolon somewhere else or forget to close a bracket, and that's okay. Even the answer, the recursive function that you write might be total disaster, but it's okay. They would see the approach that you took. They take that into consideration, these tiny details. It's up to the recruiters sometimes. They would take into consideration, it's fine, I could deal with this. I can teach them, I want to teach this person. Give them that impression. Be a problem solver, because that's what they are looking for. And don't overcomplicate things. Basically, that's it. It's a very simple formula. What you're missing is probably confidence, and throw yourself out there. All right, story time. I swear it's going to be short. So, 8 years ago, I met this guy. He was a very successful entrepreneur. He was selling car parts, and he was doing great at his job. He was amazing. And suddenly, the country he was in, it went through an economical crisis. He didn't have anything to do. He wasn't able to import new goods. It's fine. So he had to travel. He went to a different country. And I met him. At the age of 40, you might wonder, is it worth learning a new language or starting from scratch? To be honest, yes, because this story is a success story. He was looking up C#, C++, and so on. I told him, look, why don't you do a market study and see what's asked for a lot currently? And this is what I advise you to do. Check which programming language is being asked the most, what's needed in the market. And it's okay to start from scratch. Learn it. Put yourself in that situation. And he did. In 6 months, after 6 months, I just saw him for like a couple of days. And after 6 months, he calls me and tells me, look, I'm teaching at a technical university, a technical school, actually. I didn't believe him. So I went there. And he was actually presenting in front of 80 people. A big class, bigger than this, actually. And the next thing you know, now he is in a very successful position. He's a web developer in React, and he's in Canada. He did that because he had confidence, determination. That's the secret ingredient, honestly. It's not about what programming language you chose or whatnot. No. I mean, if you graduated as a software engineer, chances are the rest is going to be easy. All you need is determination. So I'm going to quote here from Steve Jobs. At the end of every keynote, he used to say one more thing and would present a big shot thing. I don't have anything big shot. Big shot is up to you. You have to achieve greatness in your life. Because you, like I said in my previous slides, you have a super powerful tool. You got to own it. Be a mentor. Pass on the torch. Because that's what it's all about. You can't just like work for yourself, okay, success. No, that's not success. Success is when you pass on the torch. If you can't innovate, take up a mentee. Teach them, be a mentor. Guide them. Tell them what it's like the hard way. And basically, that's it. I'm not going to drop the mic, but it's fine. Questions? One by one.
So, what programming language is asked, like right now? What do you think?
Right now, the market?
Yes.
My, my answer is probably a month old because we were searching, but I would say React or any other JavaScript framework is good. PHP is still needed, but still, React, for now, at least. Welcome. Do you need a mic?
No, I think I'm good. Can you hear me? My question is, obviously you are an experienced engineer and a person. So far what you consider the most important or the most noticeable achievement in your life?
In my life, on a personal level. Actually, I did mention it. Counting the number of people you have guided them and measuring that not by the number of people, but the number of successes of those people that you mentored. To be honest, everybody is appreciative. And if they reach to a certain level of success, they will call you, they will appreciate you. And there's no better feeling than that. To be honest, for those who know me, I've been a scout for a long time, and that's how we are rewarded, for just simple, plain appreciation. And that's amazing. It's awesome.
What programming language would you suggest to the PMs to learn, just to understand the language of the developers, software?
PM as in?
Product manager.
Product manager.
Yes.
I would say basic JavaScript, sorry, and a bit of Python. I don't know how much they would use that in their life, or at least in their work, but in order to understand their, how do you say this, the environment that they are working in, Python is really good. It's actually a very good beginner thing. And JavaScript also handles that interactivity part, so it's kind of cool. And throw in a couple of HTMLs and you're good to go. Welcome. Anyone else from the back? One last question. Got 5 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Okay. Well, that's it. Thank you, guys.